That's the problem. I mean, if I came here tonight and offered you a summer home and a winter home and a Mercedes-Benz and a Porsche and $20 million and didn't tell you about that, I'd be selling you off, buying you off cheap. That's the greatest thing there is. That's how it winds up. We had a fellow this town one time, his name was Shavers. Shavers. He got up to be around 90 years old someplace before he died. I think he and his wife been married 65 years, something like that. That's something. Well, that's a plutonium anniversary, uranium or something. I don't know what that thing is. 65 years, man. That's something. I think that's great. I ought to get the Congressional Medal of Honor. And that old boy, he got up around there in 90 someplace. His wife up in her 80 someplace. And one Sunday he came home from church. He was cooking dinner, a big meal, you know, and he got up and had a meal. Didn't feel like eating a whole lot, but ate enough, and then went back and lay down on the couch where he took a nap every afternoon. Lay down on the couch, he's lying there, and suddenly he began to laugh. What's happening? Right over there in Brent. And he got kind of laughing. His wife came in and said, "What is it?" He said, I don't know. I just feel so good. I just never felt like this before. He was like chuckling himself. I never felt so good before. And she said, well, okay. And she went back to do the dishes and came back in. He was dead. Died in about 5 minutes. Just lay there on the couch and just went. Pop! He's gone. Now, do you know there's harder ways to go home than that, brethren? Boy, there's some tough ways to go home. But boy, if you live 90 with Jesus Christ, just lie down in your house Sunday afternoon and go home to be with Jesus Christ, you put the millionaires out of style. You just put them out of style, man. That's the way to do it. I had a fellow up there in Bay Minette one time. Brother Dickman knew him. His name was Ernest Duck. Ernest Duck's daddy was an old-time Methodist preacher. Old man Duck came to die. He'd been hanging around lingering for a couple of days, and he'd go and then come back, go and come back. They'd get medicine for him and pills and stuff, and he stayed. He said, I'm going to leave you today, and they get the doctor, and he'd stay another day. One day he said to Ernest, he said, I'm going to leave you today, son. I'm really going, you know. The old-time Methodist preacher said, I'm not talking about these queers out there in Los Angeles with that grooming this Chinese piece of junk, whatever it is out there. I mean, a real old-time, some of you never had the privilege of meeting a real old-time Methodist preacher, and I've known some of them. And an old-time Methodist preacher was something else. There's something else. Them birds get out and start a fellow pray in public, and they say, oh, God! You know, not this kind of stuff you see on television. And he was an old-time Methodist preacher, and he said, I'm going to leave you today, son. And Brother Duck said, well, Daddy, you've been saying that now for a couple of weeks. He said, yeah, but I mean it this time. So I'll call for the doctor. So he called the doctor. And old man Duck said to Ernest, no use calling for him. I'm going. I'm leaving you today. And the doctor came in, you know, and gave him a shot or something. They sat around there and drinking a little iced tea out there in the garden by under a mimosa tree out there in Bay Minette. And pretty soon that old man looked up, and he looked out across the garden like this, and he said, my, that sure is a pretty room. I bet that's about the most prettiest rooms I've ever seen in all my life. And he turned to the doctor and said, what made me say that? The doctor said, I don't know. And about a minute later, old man Duck looked at his boy and looked at the doctor, and he said, well, bye-bye. He's gone. That's the way to go, man. That's the way to go. Absent the body, present the life. What do you care? I mean, when you get down to the end, when you get to the end, what difference does it make? Whether you live in a trailer or live in a 15-bedroom, 5-bathroom house, what difference does it make? You get the same piece of ground. It's about 8 feet long, you know, about 8 feet deep, about 4 feet wide, and they get you out in the hospital and put that little dinky, you know, I hate them things, little lace up the back dinky thing they put on you down there. And then all your kinfolk come in, trying to be nice to you, know, to see who get the most money out of you before you die, you know, and the doctors and lawyers be trying to get your house and your land before you're gone. Wouldn't it be wonderful just be going along, just flip over you go, and be absent by and present of the Lord? Brother Gilly went that way years ago. Brother Gilly was one of the most faithful fellows we ever had. He'd been doing some mowing out there on a hot day, you know, and told the boy he needed to get to the hospital or something, wasn't feeling very good. Died in the way of the hospital, didn't he, Mr. Gilly? Yeah. I mean, not more about 20, 25 minutes, absent the body, present with the Lord. That's the way you got to go. If you got to go like that. All right, now what's going to happen? On one day, John says, I saw a great white throne, him and sat upon him, from whose face the heaven and earth fled away. There's no place found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. The dead were judged out of those books according to got the thing written in the book according to their works. And whoever was not found in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. And the sea gave up the dead, which were in it. Them. And death and hell delivered up the dead, which were in them. They would judge every man according to his works. And whoever was not found in the book of life was cast in the lake of fire. This is the second death. Now, God's program is perfect. A fellow said to me one time, he said, well, I believe, Brother Ruffman, God will give me a second chance. You're right, he will. He said, God would condemn anybody without a second chance. You're right, he won't. Well, I'll just take my chances now and then die, and then later on I'll get another chance. Yes, you will, if you want to call that a chance. Now, if you want to call that a chance, take it. Me, I'm taking my chances right there. I am not going to stand before my Creator, God Almighty. Some of you can make a universe and stand there and tell him what a fine fellow I am. I'm not going to do it. If you want to do it, brother, it's a free country, but count me out. You know what's going to happen to you? I'll show you. You're going to be standing like this, look like a light you can't see and turn your head back down. You can't look at it, you know, and then you hear this sound like Niagara Falls. Quote, a voice like the sound of many waters. And here's this voice saying, crank it. Here goes the film. You look up here, and here's your whole life. From the time you were born, the time you died, laid out there. By the time you get watch that horror story, and he points that finger at you and says, depart from you, cursed with everlasting fire, you won't have nothing to say. That Bible says, every mouth stopped and all the world become guilty before God. Now, if you want to stand and try to alibi it, go and alibi it. Count me out. You want to stand there like that and that record being shown, you look down like this to your feet, and boy, it'll be 20 million light years down below you into a bottomless pit in outer darkness,